Well, hello, my Diet Disruptors members. I am excited to bring you a very different guest coach than what we normally have. And so, Minkay Yu is coming at us, and she has some just beautiful, special, inspiring, and practical stuff for us today. So, I am so excited that you're here. Welcome to our squad.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. So why don't you kind of give a little bit of an overview? I'm so excited that I got to meet you, and we were just talking a little bit before we recorded that just some of the things that you have said to me have resonated in all sorts of ways in my life. So I can't wait for people to hear more from you. But tell us who you are, what you're all about, and what you do to help people be amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. And yeah, so I'm a career coach. About 5 years ago, I quit my consulting career cold turkey because I had no heart for it. It wasn't in me to keep doing it. I was just doing it because I didn't know what else to do. And I kind of was handed that job a little bit. And so I was doing it, but I never loved it. I never thought it was for me. I just did it because I got benefits, I got a good paycheck,
That practical
and
thing, right?
I couldn't figure out what else to do. And so I finally got fed up and just quit and went in search of hopefully a purpose or a calling or something, some kind of career that was better for me, that filled me up, that was more meaningful. And I found it. And that was in body work. And so body work is like massage, energy work, and a lot to do with healing the body. But as I was doing that, a lot of my friends asked me, how did you quit your job? How did you get the bravery
Yes.
to leave? How did you figure out what you wanted to do? That's such a random thing to go from consulting to massage and body work. And so they started asking me what I did and how I did it. And that's what led me to become a career coach. So in
So
addition to in addition to the healing, I coach people through their own transition of figuring out what they want to do, figuring out what's calling them, figuring out what's going to be a better role, career, what that's going to make them happy, that's going to be fulfilling, and that's going to support them and make them money because, you got to live too.
yeah. So that makes me, I really want to ask all of our members as you're watching this, if you are, you don't have to be like, yeah, I hate my job, but if you can resonate with that, if you can resonate with the feeling of, you know, you're either on this earth for something bigger, or you just know that there's something not feeling completely together with any aspect of your life. Right now, we're talking career, but it could be just about anything. And, I left my full time career a little over a year and a half ago now to really pursue the work that I'm doing. So I can appreciate that. The thing is, I did love what I did. And I think that that was hard for me to really figure it out. But I know that I was being pulled in a different direction. And so I think some of the things that really resonated with me and what you have said is being able to listen to kind of what your what your inner voice is saying to you. So is that what happened to you? Did you have like this like in that transition, like massage therapy and body work, like that's a huge change. How did you know that that was where you were going to go?
Yeah, it was hard for me because I had no idea. And I kind of just fell into it. And even before I started studying that stuff, I had never gotten a massage before.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was really all based on intuition and inner guidance, which you mentioned is really the core of how I teach people to find their careers. And I love it because it's a long-term solution. Like with you and your diet disruptors, like you want to create skills and knowledge that can carry them through for life.
Yes, in
It's
all
not a
aspects.
temporary thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's not a temporary thing that you just do this one thing for a little bit and then you get to your goal. Like these are skills that I teach people to carry them through, one career and then figuring out, okay, am I done with this career? Is it time to move on to the next career? Right? Am I going in the right direction? And all these things center around inner guidance and listening to that little voice inside you that's speaking to you, that's usually arguing with your brain about what to do.
Yes. I want to talk a lot about this inner voice thing because you've said a few things to me in the past that really resonate, and I really want our listeners to be able to grasp. But one thing that's just kind of hitting me is where you focus on career, but when I was talking to you and working with you, it wasn't my career that I needed to change per se, but there were other aspects of my life that you made me realize I needed to make some shifts in. And so even if there's people out there that say, I am doing exactly what I should be doing, the strategy, the inner um, kind of awareness of our needs is going to resonate for all the aspects of our life. And I think this is so important going into 2021, right? We're starting fresh, we're starting over. Now, 2021 is not going to magically be better because suddenly it's January 1st. But I think it's a time for us to be able to start over mentally and be able to say, okay, regardless of what gets thrown at me, regardless of what pandemic is next, I can stay true to who I am and what I want to do and not lose sight of those things, especially
Yes,
in the noise.
totally.
So let's talk about this little voice that until you named for me, I didn't even really realize I had.
Yeah, exactly. And I when I learned about it, I was like, yes, this is what I need because when I was trying to figure out what to do, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone to talk to about how do you do this. And I figured out, okay, there's something inside me that's always been pushing me to do something else or something more. There's always been something inside me that wants to help people, that loves exercise, that loves food. Where are those things coming from and how can I access them better?
Mhm.
And this inner guidance, everybody has it. You totally have it. You can use it for all aspects of your life. You're totally right. I teach specifically career, so my examples will be a lot in career,
Yeah.
but you can apply it to anywhere. Like you can apply it to knowing what to eat. You can apply it to knowing how to handle your money. You can
Yeah.
apply it to all areas because it's really about listening to yourself
Mhm.
and what you truly want, and also sifting out the shoulds, the things that people are telling you should want, you should have, you should need. It's really getting in touch with who you are and what you actually want.
Yes,
And
I love.
mhm, yeah, so they're always in concert with, your logical voice, which is in your brain, and your intuitive voice, which is in your heart. And if you've ever argued with yourself about something, like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, like, say you have somewhere you were invited to, like an outing with your friends, and you're tired and you want to stay home. Part of you is saying, oh, I want to stay home, I want to rest. And part of you is saying, oh, but it would be great to hang out with your friends. And so usually it's your brain and your heart talking to each other about what you want,
It's like
and
the
they're
devil
arguing.
and the angel. Okay.
Yes.
So yes, I see that. Keep going.
Mhm. Yeah. So you really have to take a minute to acknowledge both sides.
Okay.
Don't just keep arguing, right?
Okay.
When you figure out you're arguing, just pause, realize, okay, I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
There are two voices going on. One of them is my heart, one of them is my head.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and I
And
think
then,
we got to figure out how do we know which is which?
oh, that's a good question. Usually the voice in your head has a lot of reasons behind it. Like, oh, you should hang out with your friends because you love hanging out with them, because it would be good, nice to get out, because you usually like going out, you like getting dressed up, you like going to that bar. That bar is great. It will talk to you about why you should do that thing. But your heart will just tell you one thing. It will say, no, it would feel good to rest.
Mhm.
And it'll say the same thing over again. It'll feel good to rest.
Mhm.
And I won't give you a reason. It's just true. It'll feel good to rest and stay home. And
That is a really interesting example. So let me tell you what went through my mind because I am a homebody. I'm comfortable at home, especially in the pandemic. I used to travel a ton, and to go out is more work for me. But I know, and this is one of the things that I'm working on for 2021, is that I need to push myself out more, right? And I need to get myself a little bit more social in the town that I live in and things like that. So I wonder if my head will tell me kind of to stay home and all the reasons I should stay home. But my heart kind of knows this is a goal of yours and this is hard and you're going to push yourself, but you can do this, you know? And so, like, I
Yes.
could see, I think it's in some ways that exact scenario would align with who I am, my purpose and my why, and what I'm trying to become, as opposed
Yes,
to the comfort level that's easy to slip into.
totally.
Awesome.
Like you said, you could be, your brain could be arguing to stay home. Like,
Yeah.
no, don't go out because then you'll be putting yourself out there. You might get
Yes.
rejected. You might, hit this roadblock, and it'll give you all these reasons not to do something your heart wants you to do.
You said something to me that is just reminding this, and it's just resonated for months now, is the brain will speak louder than your heart. And so that's why I think that to me was a huge litmus test for me. Like, what am I hearing louder? It doesn't mean it's more right.
Yes, exactly. Because your brain knows how to argue.
Yeah.
Your brain knows how to
Maybe.
be logical. It knows how to tell you what to do all the time. And if you're used to listening to your brain, it's going to be louder.
Mhm.
So if you're not used to listening to your heart, it's easy to push it away.
So this really aligns with, let's just go with nutrition for 1 second, but I really want to jump into career because we don't talk about that a lot. And I know there are my members out there that are still trying to figure out purpose. And I think 2021 is going to be a great year for that, especially because I always say, once you know what to do with your nutrition, like, they're done. You guys are all done learning what you need to do. You're going to do this for the rest of your life. It's a lifestyle. And now we can open up our hearts and minds to the things that really matter so we can fulfill our purpose, right? But I do think that there's like these moments at an evening, right? When we want to pour a glass of wine or we want to have the bowl of ice cream. And there's our brain that's like, it's just a bowl of ice cream. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Or it's just a glass of wine. It's not going to matter. You deserve it. All of those things. But your heart knows, no, I want to be able to say no to that. Or no, I'm working towards something and I want to go there. But so often we give in to temptations because it's our brain that's louder than our heart. And so you're
Yes.
just making me realize that that's one of the reasons why we're giving into those temptations, because our brain sounds so logical. And we think it's willpower, but if we can assign it to that little voice of our heart versus that loud voice of our brain, we might be able to make better decisions.
Yes, totally. You're right. You can use it with food. You know, if your brain is giving you a reason to drink that glass of wine, you know, you don't have to listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ask your heart what it wants.
Yeah.
Maybe your heart knows, oh, actually having that glass of wine is not going to make me feel good.
Right.
I don't want to have it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And what's my alternative that my heart would make me, like, when I lay down on the pillow? What's going to make my soul feel good?
Yes. Yeah. Because your brain is used to thinking or has that conditioning of, wine is good for you. Television says wine is good for you.
Whatever it is.
Movies,
Yeah.
people enjoying wine, they look happy enjoying wine. But do you actually feel good enjoying wine?
Yeah, yeah. And that's why, like, we always talk about planning an appreciation meal once a week. And when you plan it and and you're intentional about it, it feels good in your soul because you've been intentional with that,
Yes.
you know? So I really do want to talk more though about this whole concept of this career coaching, because to me, there's so many of us out there that are doing what we're doing for a variety of reasons. And maybe even some of us that went to college for it and really wanted to do it. But now most of us are in our 40s and 50s and moving into another season of our lives and recognizing maybe this isn't what I want to do forever. So let's just sort of kind of transition into a little bit of what you do in case there are people that are in that place right now. Again, you can kind of assign this to anything that you're thinking about and stuff, but I'm just interested in what you do with your clients when you're really thinking about this transition.
Yeah. I help them realize what they really want.
How do you do that?
it
Is there a
it
formula?
takes a
I want to know the formula.
yeah, it takes a lot of clearing away the shoulds. What should you do? How much
Yeah,
money should you be making?
yeah,
Should you, why do you have these goals of having a home, having X salary, having all these things? I challenge people's thinking because we're so conditioned to be a certain way by, society, by television,
Mhm.
by advertising. All this stuff is telling us how to be, how to look, how to feel. But people, once they take all that away and get down into what they actually care about, it helps them so much with clarity of, where you want to take your
Yeah.
life.
So
Yeah.
you said the word why a few different times, and it's making me think about like when my kids were younger. I used to say to my youngest, "You are so curious," and what I really meant was, "Oh my gosh, you ask so many questions." um, but I feel like we have to kind of jump into that inner curiosity, like a kid. Well, why do we need this house? Or why do we need this much money? Or why do we need this stuff? Or like, even in the pandemic, I found
Mhm.
myself no reason to buy clothes, more clothes. And I realized, why do I need this big closet? My husband and I have asked ourselves many times, why do we need this house? And have been looking really a lot at downsizing. Um,
Good.
and so that why? Do you think that's a technique that we can use to like dig into what we're
Oh,
really
definitely.
looking for?
Yeah. The one thing I work with my clients on is getting them to reflect on what's happened in their life,
Okay.
what they have enjoyed in their past careers,
Okay.
what they haven't enjoyed, and then why.
I
You
love
know,
that. So that's a great technique, right? What is it that you're doing that you love? And what is it
and
that you don't love and why? Yeah. I think
why
about
did you
that in here, like when there's tasks that I find myself constantly wanting to put off. It's on my to-do list and it stays at my list and it stays on my list. And what you're making me think is, why do I not want to do that? And is it something I need to shift in myself, or is it something I need to hand off and get rid of?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everybody has a different answer. And I'll give you an example. I was working with a client a couple weeks ago, and she was trying to complete a project, and
Okay.
she needed to hire somebody to just help her with her website and get that figured out. But for longest time, she could not figure out who to hire, what
Yeah.
to pick. And after talking through a lot of it, it wasn't about the research. It wasn't about, you know, how much money it was. It was because in the end, the money she would be spending was for herself. And she hated spending money on herself.
Because it would free her up a little bit,
It
right?
would free her up and she saw the value in it, but her hang up is she doesn't like to spend money on herself.
Yeah.
She doesn't like to buy herself food. She doesn't go out to eat. She'll spend money on her kid all day. She'll buy him the best things, but
Yeah.
she didn't want to spend money on herself. And in a way, hiring this person to help her was spending money on herself.
Oh my gosh. So that really it just ties back to that inner voice, right? When you're feeling that barrier, when you're feeling that block, if you can take a minute to sit back and say, why am I feeling this way? You're going to get to a deeper issue
Yeah. It
than,
was deeper than just
yeah.
then I don't want to spend the money. She thought it was just because she was being frugal and she doesn't like to spend money, but it was really about giving back to herself,
Mhm.
feeling worthy enough to give back to herself, feeling like she was worth the money that she's spending on herself.
I love this. We have a small group within our membership group that's working on something called Power Sheets, and Power Sheets is a really cool planner through this one organization that allows you to really think through very intentionally your goals and thoughts for 2021. And when you and I first met, I thought this is like a perfect way for us to dig into our Power Sheets this year. And so I'm putting that in there for my members that are in that group with me, because this is what we need to be thinking about as we plan our goals for next year, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I'm
Be
really excited.
being intentional and understanding why, you know,
Yep.
why am I holding myself back or what's holding me back?
Yep.
How can I overcome those obstacles?
Yep.
What do I need to support me? And accepting help, working with other people like your group, your community,
Mm,
doing those things to help yourself. You are worthy of everything. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have a fulfilling life. You deserve to feel good in your body and to enjoy your food. You
right.
deserve to enjoy life. So
Right. Right. And
yeah,
if we're
can't
not, we don't have to accept it. And we all have that little voice. This is unlike, I'm kind of reiterating what you've been teaching me. We all have this little voice that we need to start to learn to listen to, and we ignore it. It's like when our kids go, mom, 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 everything. And sometimes I realize, gosh, I'm a mom. And that's sometimes when I take the moment and I'm like, that shouldn't annoy me, right? And it takes that a second of introspection to realize that little voice is actually really cool and really guiding.
It's talking to you, and it's not held back by fear, anxiety, worry. Your brain is held
We
back
are,
by all those.
yeah.
Yeah, your brain is held back. So you can always trust your inner voice. It will never lead you astray because it's not afraid, it's not worried. It just knows what's good for you.
Wow.
And it's never bad to follow what's good for you.
Right, 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 right. Oh, that's like such a good like ending piece of that to me. Really, the fact that your inner voice isn't afraid and your brain really operates very often in fear. Oh, so good. This is such a new way to think about going into the new year. And so I'm so grateful. So I want people to be able to connect. We need more Minkay in our lives because you're so calming and I think you're just so insightful and have a lot of wisdom to teach us. So how is it that people can stay connected with you and that our group can?
Yeah, I have a podcast. It's
Oh,
called
good. We
What's
love
Your Calling?
podcasts. What's your calling? Okay. I'll
It's
make
called
sure I
What's Your
put a link.
Calling? So it is centered around career and that focus, but I do teach also a lot about intuition. I bring on other intuition experts. So if you're just interested in the intuition part, you can pick the ones that teach you about that, and you'll get a lot of great information there so that you can start to learn how to listen to your own inner voice and to get all those other things out of the way, because it is kind of a tricky thing to really grasp. It takes time to practice and listen to it, but I give a lot of good tools and tips on that podcast.
I love that. Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. And I understand that you have a little gift for all of my
Yes.
members. So why don't you share what you put together for us?
Yeah, it's a short guided meditation. It's a joy meditation, and it also helps you listen to your inner voice. So you can find it on my website, what'syourcalling.us/joy.
Okay, great, great, great.
And I'll
I'll
send
put a
you the
link
link
for
too.
everybody. Yeah, and we'll make sure that everybody has that link as well.
Yeah. And it's like a 3-minute thing. I guide you through the meditation. And in the end, I tell you how you can use that to help you make decisions,
Oh,
because it helps you
I
connect
love
with.
that connection. Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
this is great. So I am so excited. Diet disruptors, you have to comment. So comment below on what you're learning, what you're taking away. I've got so many juicy things now that I can't wait to unpack with all of you, especially in our Power Sheets group. And I just feel like this is such a great way to move into 2021. Minkay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie. It was great to be here. I hope all this information helps you and your people and, move into a great and better year and to have less fear,
Yeah.
believe in yourself, have less fear.
Yes. I always tell my kids fear is allowed to be in the car because it does help us to be aware of certain things, but it's got to sit in the back seat. It can't drive. It can't be in the front seat because it can't tell us where to go.
I
And
love
what
that.
you just did for me is realize that that's coming from my brain, not my heart. And so, ooh, I can't wait to share it with them too. That's awesome. Okay, thank you so, so, so much. I'll make sure that people have ways to get in touch with you, and I can't wait to stay in touch.
Me
Thanks.
too. Thank you, Carrie.
Bye.